but yeah, so let's just go over, the game itself. So you chose the Shusaku. I like this. This is an older style move, obviously, but I like it. It's still very fun. Most of the time, you'll see people play this far now. Have you seen this before?
I have.
Yeah, but this is still fun. I use it actually quite often too. So white played here, and then you played here. So for me, I didn't think that this was terrible. I know that you don't like playing this.
Yeah, yeah,
So you're looking for alternatives now.
yeah.
But the computer really didn't like it. I think it was
Oh,
a big negative.
oh, okay.
And I guess I can see, you know, um, it's not like a huge negative, but you could see why A or B or C and D could be better than this move. So let's just discuss it in general.
Yeah,
Even though I don't think it's a bad move, right now it feels like you could develop more, especially with this A move here.
yeah.
Because if white responds and then you get pushed for another corner, this makes a huge area here.
Mm, mm,
And
mm, mm,
then
mm.
when white comes in, once you make a base with this group,
Mm-hmm,
and then you already have a base with this group,
mm-hmm.
and you have a base with this group. So
Yeah.
all you have is two strong groups, and white has two weak groups. And so this would be like a very nice variation. This is what the
Mm,
computer recommended.
I see. I see. Huh.
And I really like, even just looking here, you can see just making this one exchange like already
Yeah.
feels pretty good,
Yep.
and then making it bigger feels even better. So with the Shusaku, there's two things I'm always looking at. One is this kick for the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can take like a very nice corner, and then it makes white a little heavy. So if white doesn't expand on this side, then you can cramp white up quite a bit. So this is one way to use the diagonal, the Shusaku
Okay.
diagonal. The other one, as you saw, was to make white kind of heavy, right? Because if white doesn't answer, then you just take this whole corner.
Right, right, right.
And so white kind of has to answer, and then this allows your influence to become a lot bigger on this side. So now,
So,
yeah,
I mean, it looks to me though, if like Q7 for white, not, I mean, not of course now, but so, okay. So suppose that she pushes, so
this way.
no, she answers two. She answers there. And then I go someplace else.
Okay, yeah. So we'll just, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
play this one.
And then she moves there, Q there.
Yeah, yeah. No, not breaking the tiger's mouth or
Yeah,
getting hit on this
yeah,
feels weird.
yeah.
But I suppose when we look at it in another light, if we just give up this one stone, I think we're getting more out of these
Right. Okay.
exchanges.
Okay.
So,
That makes sense.
and as long as you can get another move over here, then this side of the board isn't going to be that big. And what this stone does is this makes the wall larger this way, so it wants to build this way. But if you just play a stone like this, then this wall isn't as effective as it looks.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yep.
But yeah, instinctually, yes, breaking the tiger's mouth usually is the correct answer and feels good. In this case, uh, the idea was just to make this more influential, to give you more space here. So that's all this move was
Okay.
used
Okay.
for. But this does come up later if I remember. But anyway, so I mean, if we want to go by the highest, like 9 down standard,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
this move isn't that great at this time.
Okay.
Um, so we'll move on from here. But I guess if you don't want to play something like this, the computer pointed out that these moves are just as good
Okay.
because they're essentially helping you secure a corner. It makes white much harder to invade here
Right.
because
Right.
the computer loves these invasions.
Right. Right. Right.
So once you place a move here, this invasion isn't really as satisfying.
Yep.
Um, so this was good. And then this is where the computer, through the rest of the game, wants you to play this. Did you see this in
I
the
did.
computer
I
review?
did.
Yeah, the whole game it wants you to play here, and we can discuss why. You can see one, it damages White's group here,
Yeah.
and two, it helps you connect this, so
Yeah.
this wall becomes really big to develop
Yeah.
this area. Um, and so this was the variation the computer wanted. So, you ignore White's approach, and then you push here,
Mhm.
and then White double approaches, you escape, making a wall. And then after this, the computer stops here, but it's very clear now that Black has sealed in White, because White
Yep.
can't go any further, right? And so this seal is really nice against White. White technically can come out this way, but even if White does, you can see that Black is just building a bigger wall over here
Yep.
and developing more.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, I know I did find it very hard to see that move. Like I would think, why not push the other way, right? I mean, if I were
yes.
and in
And
fact, I thought about that.
yeah, and this is the other way that I probably would have pushed myself. And it's the B version of this. So when we look at the computer,
Mhm.
this is the B version, right?
Yeah.
And so this doesn't look as good as what I saw when we pushed up, right?
Right.
To me, this
Right.
looks a little better.
Yeah.
But pushing down here makes more sense because you're helping to build off of the stone,
Right.
right?
Right.
So either one of them would have been good, as you can see.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the game, you don't play it. And maybe I understand now, right? Because he approached you, so you wanted to make a move, so I get it. My first instinct was to play this
Oh.
because of these
Oh
two
yeah.
stones.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It helps build this area and then
Yeah.
hurts this stone.
Yep.
And even if he comes in this way, you have two options, and this one looks better to me. So I'm sure you're very familiar with
Yep.
this Joseki.
Yep. Yep.
Like if it just went like the normal way, whichever way you want to play it, you can see that Black's groups are working together, right? Black stones here.
Yeah. Yeah. And this
Um,
came up in the last review, I think, the sort of properly placed pincer, if I can say that.
yeah, I really like this pincer, and this would have been my move. I put it as my A suggestion because this is the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
But the computer actually didn't have a suggestion here. I just think that when I look at it, it still looks good to me, right?
Yep.
So this is a recommendation where because you have this nice group here, it allows you to pincer, and so you're definitely like building something here.
Yep.
And if White jumps out, that's only going to help you build points on this side, and he's still under attack.
Yep.
He will live most likely, but it's very cramped, and
Yeah.
so Black can develop on both sides.
Yeah.
So I like this pincer a lot in this case. After this, now this looks really good to me
Yeah.
because this is a solid wall and
Right.
another solid wall, so this
Right.
looked good.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking of was trying to settle this a little more. So maybe even just this combination right here, because down here you're already approached like on one side.
Yep.
So if you get approached on the other, which does
Yeah.
happen now,
Yeah.
I'm sure you felt uncomfortable, right?
I did. I did.
Yeah, and you
So
can't really feel like you can make a lot of points down here anymore.
Yep.
Did you have a question or a
No,
comment?
no, no.
also?
I was just wondering what I did.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I know that technically this doesn't feel like it's doing too much because you can't really put pressure on this group anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But just allowing yourself to take this area comfortably would make me
Right,
for myself
right.
like feel more comfortable.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'd be like, okay, now I don't have to worry about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I understand why, because you probably felt like you were worried about this group. But because you have a stone out here, like it really only takes one move. Like if White attacked you right now, let's say you played just calmly this, and then White attacked you.
Yeah.
Just a one jump, and you're already. To me, this is looking very comfortable for Black.
Yep.
So it's not something. These aren't the most stones I'd be worried about. I'd be worried more on these.
Yeah.
So once Terry did play here, things became a little uncomfortable. So you could have pushed, and then the computer thinks that this is more valuable to break these up,
Uh-huh.
and then you just can take a full corner.
I see. I see. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A human player probably wouldn't respond with this move after black plays here, so
Right.
white would probably play here.
Yeah.
But even now, just having this extra stone, you can see
Yeah.
makes this a
Yeah.
little more
Yeah.
wider.
Yeah.
And if the same thing happens, which happened in the game, to me, this group looks pretty comfortable, and so you could even Tanuki right now
Yeah.
and make this these double areas bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one, it felt like just know that when you have this diagonal, this
Yeah.
is usually a very viable move, right? This is a very nice
Yeah.
move you can
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
So that's something you can definitely learn, especially if you use this
Yes.
group often.
Yes.
So for me, I did feel this nagging tiger's mouth, because
Yeah.
if white
Yeah.
plays here, it's breaking two tiger's
Yeah.
mouths,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
just feels bad.
Yeah.
So for me, I probably would have played this first and then come out.
Uh-huh.
But then the computer, and this looks okay to me, right? Like
Yeah.
this looks
Yeah.
okay. Because if white doesn't respond, right? If white plays this,
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty nice for black,
Yep.
in my opinion. This looks pretty nice. So I think white definitely has to respond in some manner. And then this allows you to have both,
Yep.
right? You get this and
Yeah,
this.
I see that.
But the computer came up with something even better. So this is Gote, in a sense, right? Like now it's white's turn, and white can kind of do what white wants, right?
Yeah.
But by using a sacrifice, this is I even wrote it here. It's a high level skill, even a little higher than me, because I didn't think of it. But
Yeah.
if you use this as a sacrifice, where would you play as black now?
I play on the other side, I guess. Or maybe descend once and then play on the other side.
Yeah, that's the rule, right? We want to make it so white has to play at least twice before he can kill you.
Yeah.
But if we don't descend, then he'll be able to take you right away, right?
Right.
So by descending is the correct move. That seems like a fundamental you've really learned, which is great. But now, as you can see, white needs another two moves. So once you play here and here, you now have kind of the sente, right? You can kind of play wherever you want at this point.
Right.
You might want to kick and then sandwich this group, because you kind of have a living group down here, right? So the computer recommended this sacrifice.
Yeah.
And even now, I guess you could just Tanuki if you want to. But so this is a very high level skill of sacrificing your stone to get sente. Because the difference of this, and technically it looks the same, where it almost feels like you have sente, but it's still, I guess technically it's the same. So mine has a very close result, but I do like the computer's idea of like sacrificing more. I feel like this is a more solid shape.
Yeah.
But very, very, very cool. I understand you didn't want to get hit on the head of two stones here.
Yes.
But remember to take your sente moves when you have them.
Yeah.
And this actually happens in this game as well. It was here. So you didn't want to get hit on the head of two stones, and I understand, because this is the fundamentals I teach you, right?
Right.
But the next level of learning this is to take your sente moves first. So instead, you should have played here, because if he hits you here, this is too good for white, right?
Right.
And so this is a sente move, so black has to respond, and then you can play this.
Yep.
And so now we see that this is taking a sente move and then not getting hit on the head of three stones.
Yep.
And then in this instance, it's the same thing. You can take the sente move, which white should respond. You get good shape, and then you can play what you needed to.
Yep.
It's very it happened. It was interesting to see it twice. And it's a it's definitely a high level skill. It's not a 12Q way of thinking, right? Like this isn't something that you think about, like taking the Sente moves
Right, right.
at your range.
But I
So,
mean, well, I do, but obviously not very well.
hmm. But you will, right? As long as
Yes,
we keep
yes,
putting it
yes.
out.
Learning.
So, and then there's even more stuff I can learn, right? So, like, my idea was to play here, and then the computers was here. Like, so there's even a step above, what I can teach you.
Right,
So,
right.
there's definitely levels. Um, so this is now. I told you before I started the recording. I was a little disappointed. So this is the disappointment here. I felt
Ah,
like this was a very bad move. Can you tell me why B is bad and why A is good?
well, I mean, I can see that it looks like there's more space if I block on that side.
Yeah, for development, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
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 so if you block this way, to me, it's very clear that you're developing this side
yeah,
and making
yeah,
some
yeah,
points.
yeah,
But this way, your wall that you're making is facing a white group that's not going to die.
yeah,
So there's no development this way,
yeah.
right? So that's why I was a little disappointed because I know that we go over direction of play a lot in our classes, in our discussions. So I think you were really flustered probably at this point. Um, I'm assuming.
I'm not sure. At some point, I don't know. Someone said, "Oh, it just doesn't matter because you can sort of turn it around," which I obviously.
Yeah, I would never think or teach that way.
Okay.
Right? Like I would never be like, you can just do it there you want, and eventually you can turn the game around.
No,
You
I don't
know?
mean the game. That
Uh,
that that specific. Like there's a way of, you know,
I understand. Yeah, 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 yeah. So you're talking about
yeah,
maybe
something like
this.
that, right?
Yeah. But even then, like, yeah, you can change you can take the corner, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
still looks bad. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
But
all
what
right.
I can tell you is, like, to me, this looks very much
Yep,
like clearly the better direction for
yep,
development.
yep,
Because in the game so far, you had a corner like type area, and then you couldn't develop it, and then white ended up developing on both sides.
yep,
So this was really bad, right?
yep,
Um, and then this would be my second part where I'm like, okay, well now you picked the wrong direction, and
yep,
now you're not developing well again.
yep,
Um, and so it becomes a problem, right? Like in the game, you just can't keep up in points.
yep.
Um, so with this, I was also a little surprised. Why did you choose this one instead of like putting pressure on this and getting more territory? Why this one
Just seemed too
particularly?
far away. That I expected her to invade if I did it.
Well, okay.
In fact, I was so impressed with myself for having moved that far away.
Uh, so this is a thinking that you need to change. So when you have a big wall,
Yeah,
you want to move as far as you possibly can, and you want white to invade because now you can put all the pressure. Like I guess you'd need to really fill this in. But after that, like when she runs away or whatever she's gonna do,
yeah,
you have all the strength here. So
right.
you get to push
Yes.
her
Okay.
around.
All right. All right. All right.
Yeah.
It's
So
a teachable moment.
for sure. Have you ever heard that principle of
Yes,
play away from thickness?
yes, for sure.
Yeah, so anytime, even like here, right? Like even here, this is far away. So you might be scared that she'll invade, right?
Yep.
But there's no reason to fear. This is the best thing, you know? Because now you can just bully
Yeah.
her
Yeah. Yeah.
and push her into thickness
Yeah.
and go for the kill. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
It's a
mean
lack
even
of. Yeah. It's a lack of confidence, Michael.
yeah, no, I understand. completely, because it's not. It's a very you're used to making something big and then getting it taken away from you. You know, I'm
Right.
assuming, right? That's where
Right.
that fear comes from.
Right.
And I totally understand where that comes from. I mean, when you don't understand how to attack properly, then yeah, you're gonna lose your big moyos all the time. But even when we look at the beginning of the game, when the computer wanted 1 and 3,
Mhm.
here's that big moyo,
Yep.
and white invades immediately, and the first thing black does is start attacking it
Yep.
because black has all the advantage. So it's something that you want to do even here, right? Like this is a huge extension.
Yep.
And so you want white to come in here, right? And so then you can start attacking it, right? You want white to try and come in here so you can start beating it up because you have the starting advantage of 2 stones against the
Right.
1.
Right. Right.
So anytime that you make any type of thickness, you cannot fear them coming in between your extension
Hmm.
because this is what you want. You want to fight it. You want to push it into your wall. That's it. That's it. But for this would have been a double sword. So one, you're expanding your moyo a bit more,
Yep.
and
Yep.
2, you're putting pressure on
No,
these.
I mean, I see it's a much better move.
And if white plays anything, right, or plays what you were afraid of, now you could even put more pressure on this group, and this group doesn't look like it's gonna have an easy time living here.
Yep. Yep.
Like it's gonna be pretty difficult for white to live inside here. Um, and even if white does, it's not a lot, right? This isn't a lot of points.
Yes. Yes.
And now that you've used all your moves to like kind of make you more thick, you can now come back, and this stone looks even more in danger than ever because you have
Yep.
more stones
Yep.
on the outside.
Yep.
It's just something definitely to learn from. So when you have thickness, you want to play far away from it and invite them in so that you can attack them with an advantage. Um, so just some small things. So this turn should feel good, right? Whenever you're in a running
Yep.
race, this
Yep.
is the $1,000 turn. But right now, white has this, and this, and black
Has nothing.
nothing yet. That's right. Black only has this, right? Maybe 6 points here. And then this big moyo. So my, stepping back from the game and thinking of like local moves, my global way of looking at the game is this is where black's most potential is
Hmm.
because you've spent a lot of time making walls here, right?
Hmm.
And so this is where by just playing this one move, you can see you're starting to build a big area.
Yep.
So this would have been my focus here. I think you were trying to do that, but because white can just jump in here, it's just gonna
Yeah.
ruin everything, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
using this knight shoulder hit, so this would be a normal shoulder hit or a cap, a 1 jump cap. But using this knight shoulder hit to me looks really good. Because
Yep.
if white tries jumping in here now, you can protect it very strongly.
Yep.
And if white gets radical and like tries to jump in here to fight, you have all the advantage, right? Like this only has black to run to
Yes.
in every direction, and so this is gonna be hard for white to live here. Um, so yeah, looking at this game, this would have been my first instinct. I don't think this is the computer's best move. Uh, I could look at what computer's best move was, but without me even like
Yeah. Yeah.
needing the computer's help, I can just see like this is the
Yes.
area
Yep.
that needs to be developed. Um, so same with this is like undercut, right?
Yep.
So to
Yep.
me, this move doesn't make sense right now. So instead, I would play here to block it, and then you could make an extension like this if
Yes.
you wanted
Yes.
to. And you will get hit on the head of 2 stones, but I mean, I think building this area is kind of nice. But unfortunately, I think now already you're just kind of behind. As long as white can break up this area, which white
Yes.
does.
Yes.
So to me, I think you were trying to connect this group,
Yep.
which I could see in some essence why you'd want to do that. But just know that you could have always played this, and this is like enough space to live down here.
Right.
So you
Right.
don't actually have to connect these.
Yeah.
So instead, I would have played once again something like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
to build this
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
um, so after this, there was little things here and there, but for the most part, the game's over, right? Because you look at the board and black really only has like this small area here and here, and then white has like everything else. So
Yeah.
white is just leading in points, and
Yeah.
it's very hard for black to come back now.
Yeah.
And what caused all this the pain is mainly the direction of play choices you made. So the first one I thought of was this area.
Mhm.
To me, just making sure that these 2 stones feel comfortable is nice. So like a move here and here, or a move here and here, or even just playing this directly, like would make this area more comfortable. So then you
Yeah.
could move to somewhere else.
Yeah.
But once you were attacked on both sides, it became a problem. So this is good to learn from for the diagonal Shusaku move. The next big decision was this one.
Yeah.
So after this, I think the game became very, very hard for you.
Yeah.
Because you just don't really have any more places big to develop that much,
Yeah.
So after this, I feel like white didn't need this move. So if white just played here, or yeah, I mean, really just here or something, then black just doesn't have any places to develop really,
Yeah.
except this, right?
Yep.
And so the game's already difficult. So what we can learn from this game definitely is our direction of play. And how important it is, because if we don't use it correctly, then we can fall behind very quickly. Does that make sense, or do you
Makes
have
total sense, Michael.
So yeah, once white got this move and then this move, like the game's like it's unfortunately over, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just some good tips. Maybe instead of playing this right away, you can consider, even if you don't have the Shusaku, right? You could consider this or this, right? Like, what do you call it? Protecting some of your corners.
Yep. Yep.
For sure, instead of this one. And then we've talked about this one. Knowing that this is a move for the diagonal
I
is
won't.
very useful.
Yeah, I won't forget that.
Yeah, that one's really useful. Taking your sente moves is important. This actually happens in the other game too. So, when I look here, this is good because black's not getting hit on the head. But technically, it's not sente, right? White doesn't have to answer.
Right. Right.
And so that's why this feels kind of very painful, because to me, I feel like you gotten very undercut.
Yep.
So like if you get this move, you have the potential of getting 2 eyes, but when you lose this shape here, then you have no potential of eyes here.
Yep.
Right? So knowing that this move forces white to play something, right? Because if white plays away, or even here, then this stone dies. Right? And this is sente, so white has to play something, either here or here or here or something. And so essentially, it's taking your sente move first and then doing what you want.
Yeah.
A very, very important concept. It's definitely a high level, and even higher than that is using the sacrifice, which is essentially the same exact principle, but just done in a better way. All right. And that was mainly it. The other important thing was not to fear white coming in here. In fact, this is the opposite. You should want white to come in here, so then you could start attacking it and making it, pushing it into your wall and making it very uncomfortable. So it's just a small example of like how you can push on it.
Yep.
The other way you could is maybe just jumping. And so if you have a jumping battle here, well, maybe I still would probably want the diagonal so he can't connect under. But even just pushing on this group,
Yep.
And trying to make it feel very uncomfortable. And then as you push on this group, you can see that you're getting strength, which will only hurt this stone more. So, all right. I'd say that's about it for this review. Was there anything else that happened in the end that you wanted to talk about? Yeah.
I think in the end, the computer says I can kill this group on the right. Still.
This one here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a look.
Maybe it has to back up one.
Okay. Yeah, because this doesn't work, right? And this doesn't work.
So if we back up to where, oh no, so it is here, right? Yeah, so here I can push on, I can push at S8.
Okay, yep. I don't see it, but I'm sure the computer knows what I don't. So after you push here, what would you do?
Can you come? So what eye space does it have? It has.
Suppose.
I can't remember, but if you look at the
AI, we can figure it out.
Look at the points chart.
Technically, yeah, this doesn't have 2 eyes. I guess well, yeah, I mean, it definitely, it looks very complicated. Why don't I take a look?
Yeah.
And then that way we
can see where it goes up and down?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, here we are. Okay. So we'll look for the very last time. Okay. So if black plays here, it's not gonna show us. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
let's see. Let's play it again.
So what happens? So go.
Yeah, let's play it again. I'm just gonna fast forward it. I guess white would get Atari'd here, and so then these 3 is good enough. So I can show you. I mean, we can see it on the board now. So let's just get to the regular one. And it's right before white plays. So Atari, and then yeah, we can see that white can't make another eye, right?
Yeah.
This is just it.
Yeah.
Oh, so I missed this one. Okay. So everybody missed this one, huh?
Yeah. And there was a guy who is like a 6 or 5Q who looked in at the game. He was watching as I had no idea. Who said that I should, even if I can't kill it, I should just push on it until something happens. Like, why wait?
I didn't actually look at this one. Once I got to this point where white was alive, I just thought you couldn't win at this point. But I do see it now. I mean, it's obvious now that we looked at it. But wow, yeah, I guess so. It looks like to me it looks like a tough read. But
I mean, yeah, but his point was like, why not make the push at the one that you just did? Like, why not
just try it? Yeah,
force her to respond.
Gotcha. I mean, You can. I mean, I'm sure you knew at this point you were gonna lose the game, right?
Yes, yes,
So maybe it's worth just trying something if you've seen it. I mean,
right,
I'm
right.
assuming you didn't see it, but
No, I didn't.
you can still try. I mean, I think that's what his point is, right?
Right, right. I mean, I should have Atari'd that those three stones. Like that would have been it almost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the next game.
Yeah.
This game, yeah, you really had it. I thought for sure you were gonna win. Actually, it was until this move here, and then here when he
Oh yeah, yeah,
killed
yeah,
these
yeah, yeah, yeah,
stones.
yeah, yeah. And I didn't. Oh God, I didn't even. Michael, I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah. When he killed these stones, this is when you lost, and
Yeah,
it was funny. I got to move 100 or so. I was like, okay, it looks like White's winning by a substantial amount. So I was like, I wonder who won this game. And when I saw 1.5, I had to find out how it happened, right?
yeah. I just wasn't. I
This
wasn't
was
careful, right? I
yeah. So like
didn't
this,
protect.
yeah, this would have been more than enough, right? Um, but when you played here, now he has the Atari and the
Yeah,
pullback.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
On the other hand, go back. If I had played,
I could have done.
could I?
Yeah, I think so. You just Atari and then Atari.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, so this cut here, this right here, I don't think he can stop you. Because no matter what he tries to do, you Atari, and then you can Atari.
Yeah.
Or if he plays on this side, still Atari, and then Atari. Yeah, so funny enough, it's this,
I
this
do.
shape, yeah.
I do.
Yep. So if you played the move that you see often, right, it would have worked. I don't see a way that I don't see a way that Black could stop dying. Very interesting. But okay, let's just go through from the beginning.
Okay.
Um, so from what I saw, this game was played much better. I'm assuming you felt more comfortable with somebody at your level.
Uh, yeah. And I was
Yeah.
playing at this thing where it's a who calls it their drunk account.
Okay. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
maybe I was
Jory.
playing looser.
Yeah, which is good. So I was surprised you played here. I think in the last class we talked about this attachment. Do you
Oh
remember?
yeah. Yeah.
And the dancing Hane, right?
Yeah.
It works in both lights, so this would have been a nice use of what we learned in the class. Also, we use it in the Chinese opening, right? So I don't know if you remember that or if you watched it on my YouTube. But we talked a lot about the Chinese opening,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so this same attachment is here. So this is a good attachment to remember. So right now you're between two stones, right? And
Yep.
so he has all the advantage when you play this.
Yep.
And so in the end, just like how it usually goes, Black gets a solid corner, and then you have a group that's not doing much because it's sandwiched between two stones, strong
Yep.
groups, right? So this is why the computer invented this attachment and why it's so great. Because we can see once you dance out of the way, when he Ataris you and fixes his corner, you get to push once and then you can make a nice group. And
Yep.
so this wall is working very well with this stone, right?
Yes.
And Black is very flat on one side. And there's actually still an opening here that White can, later on play something like this. And it's very hard for Black to stop White from getting out here. Right? So, try and remember when they
I will.
use this type of
Yep.
thing,
Yep.
this
Yep.
attachment works really well.
Okay.
So yeah, the other way is this one, right? And so we use the dancing Hane. He protects, you protect, and then no matter what he does, you can make a living group in the corner. If he plays here, you can play this. If he plays here, then you can jump on top of him, and then you can see that you can clearly kill him.
Yeah.
So this dancing Hane and this attachment is the key. But playing here, you're just between two stones,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
very difficult for white.
Yeah.
And this looks the same, but because he has to react, like it allows you to dance around him. Okay, that was the first one. This was the second one. We've talked about backtracking before, right?
I'm sure.
So the idea is that you push to get in front of him, right?
Mhm.
So we want to continue to stay in front of him. We don't want to have to go backwards. And I understand that you don't. You were thinking of breaking the tiger's mouth,
Mhm.
but in this case, not only do we use the golden rules idea, right, where we want to counterattack first, and if we can't do that, then we want to extend. But
Mhm.
the other part of that, the idea is that you always want to be in front of your opponent. You always want to be moving ahead. You don't want to have to move backwards,
Right.
right? And so this should feel bad, and this or this should feel good because we're moving in front of our opponent.
Yep.
And not only that, but we're sealing them in.
Yep.
So any one of these variations, we can see that if he tries to cut you, then you just get a ladder, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
so
Right. Right.
this
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, this knight's move is safe. Even now, like it could get a little iffy, but you have this Atari and then this cut, and black can't stop you from killing this.
Yeah.
And even this way, right? It's very clear that white can get a very nice group. So there's so much bad Aji here. There was like 3 ways it could have gone. Even this one. So if he crosscuts, you can Atari. And then Atari, which I usually don't tell you to do in the
Yep.
crosscut
Yep.
situation. But in this case, because these stones are very vulnerable, and this is a ladder,
Yep.
you have all the advantage in every direction, right? If black escapes, well, now you have this, and he can't cut you, right?
Right.
And then these stones would die, and probably these stones would die. So in this case, because you have these friends here, this allows for this Atari in the crosscut.
Let's see.
But yeah, all in all, the real goal is not to backtrack, and so moving forward, even this would have been better, but this is the best one. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so this was fine. So do you remember our Saturday lecture about this knight's move?
Make it further.
Yeah, yeah, yep. So we talked about how these attachments can make this group really over concentrated.
Yeah.
Right? We can see that white is very over concentrated and black can get a very good result.
I know the reason I don't do it is because if I go to one of them, I really don't know. They can attach still, right? Or go in the middle. I mean, and I don't know what the answers are.
True. I didn't go over the answers for this one. Admittedly, I don't know the best answers for all these. Like this is considered not good, so most players will play something like this. But still, it's a good way to experiment, right?
True.
Like even if
True.
you don't know what's gonna happen, we can learn from it. But after our lesson, I wouldn't say I was disappointed that you played it, but I thought that you could have played like one of these to make it better.
Right. I mean, yeah.
And when I look here, black has quite a wall. So this is the area he wants to develop.
Yep.
So you playing further is just taking more away from black, right? So this is why I like these large extensions. And also the computer backed me up.
I know they love them.
Yeah, yeah. But I just thought it was funny that in class we went over this one, right? Just this Saturday.
Yes. Well,
And so,
I may have missed it because I had
oh yeah, you left
book club.
early. Okay. Well, fair enough, Marty. Fair enough. Yeah, yeah, I excuse you this time. All right. So Black did play the extension that it needed to. It looks a little funky, but so didn't this. So, for you, this was fine. It's good that you extended, but sealing in your opponent is so powerful that once again I would really really think about sealing in your opponent.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was very similar to this one where we were talking about here where
yeah,
Black wanted to seal in white.
yeah, yeah,
It's very very even here this still seals in white
yeah,
eventually. If White plays something like this, well now White is sealed in. So always remember to be in front of your opponent and seal them in. So this move was so crucial. It's much more valuable than this one.
yes.
And yeah, even now. So when he played this, I would
Mhm.
still want this move
Yep,
because now he doesn't have a friend.
yep,
Technically, I mean he's gonna be fine. Like he's not gonna die. He has plenty of places to run. But as you attack him, it's going to make things easier for yourself, right? Like if you open up a wound here, so if Black plays somewhere else, then you have this move because Black would stop you here, but you can connect under. Or if he plays this, then you can connect under. So the idea is that once you seal in Black here, this group becomes weaker, influential, and it doesn't have any influence, and then it hurts this stone too.
yep,
It's a very, very important move and very important ideology of always wanting to be in front of your opponent and sealing them in.
yep.
Very, very important. This was I was shocked. Why this move, right? Why not? Why not here, right?
Uh, I was, I don't know, I thought I was building a wall, putting pressure on him.
Okay. Well, this wall, is it gonna be able to make a lot of points,
No,
right? Because of these stones, right?
right.
Yeah, so we build walls usually when we want to make a developable area. But when we can't make a developable area, just like with this one, right? We built a wall this way, right? Versus the developable area, and then this is a non-developable area. So if we build walls that can't really develop, they're not as useful, as they look.
Right.
So, and the other thing too is just if I can give you any advice out of this review, it's to seal in your opponents, right?
Yep.
So this move, Black has to respond, and then you can uh
Yep.
it
Yep.
creates the Romeo Juliet
Yep.
split.
Yep.
Your whole group is connected. Black is sealed in, and then this stone looks very weak, right? It looks very
Yep.
vulnerable.
Yep.
So I was very shocked to see this move over this one. Because now Black just is connected.
Yep.
So that's really it. It's good that this group got disconnected. This is a very subtle thing, but by playing here, you can see that you're just getting more. With this one, it's giving Black an opportunity to separate you.
Yep.
So this one is like a very useful cap. If you wanted more, you could have shoulder hit, I guess, but you can get disconnected, so that's
Yeah.
not that good.
Yeah.
So that's why this move is really nice because I don't think Black can separate you. I think you're too strong. Maybe I'm wrong here, but it looks pretty good, especially if you can Atari here or play this. But yeah, this one looked better. This was all good. I was very shocked you didn't hit here first. But I could see that you didn't want him to build a Moyo here.
Yeah.
And the computer said this was the best move you could do. So it
Huh.
was exactly what the computer would have done. For me, I would have wanted to finish part in this group.
Yeah.
Because if they try and play this move, then you can do another double Hane. And
Yep.
here's the double Atari
Yep.
right
Yep.
here.
Yep.
So this should feel really bad for black and feel good for white.
Yes.
And then you could probably play something like this and still be okay. These Ataris look a little scary, but I still think you're fine. You could play something like this, and I think you'd be perfectly fine. Right? I don't see any way for black to disconnect you. So,
Yeah.
but if there was an issue, you could just play anything like that or this or
Right.
that,
Right.
yeah, and
Right. Right.
you'd be fine.
Right.
So, but hitting the head of three stones should definitely be ingrained in you. I think it's very powerful because there's so many cutting points here.
Yep. Yep.
But still, this was what the computer liked, so it was perfect. So this was good, and then this is where I told you to take the Sente move first.
Yep. Yep. And also, I was disappointed in myself that I didn't do the knight's move away from my stones at the end of this. I was
Okay, so this, yeah.
there. Yeah. Yeah. Even I remembered that.
Yeah, yep. Um, even this is fine. I think that's what you did in the game, something similar. But the key is this here, because
Yep.
black should have played this, and you could see now that white has a lot more trouble.
Right. 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 Right.
Maybe I'm sure white will be okay, but it does feel really bad, right? Like this should feel bad.
Right.
So black should have played here. But since he didn't, this now allows you to play here, and
Yep.
then it's perfect because you
Yep.
get both things that you wanted.
Yep.
So taking the Sente moves is very important. You did get it because black didn't answer. Black still could have played here,
Yep.
and you could see that white's still in some trouble. But no, you got pretty much everything you wanted. I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, you could have played here or here. This is fine too. I'm not really that upset about any of these. This would have been a good time for this.
Yeah.
But still, everything was fine. I mean, this group's alive. You really have nothing to care about. But this is where you definitely, now that this is safe, this is where
Yep.
you needed to come back here.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's so crucial to damaging
Yeah.
this group.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially because I lost those 3 stones.
Yeah, later you lose them. Yeah. And this move feels like a floating move. So, like, I have an idea of why you played it, but let me ask you, why did you play this move in particular?
Well, I know that group, the long straight group, is strong-ish, but I didn't think it was alive.
Okay. So, ways you could have ballooned it, right? Make a balloon of, Moyo,
Yeah.
like eye space,
Yeah.
is always by putting pressure on your opponent, right? So something like this would have been really good. Something like this would have also been kind of good. Or even this in general, because you can see it's like pushing on this group while ballooning.
Yep. I see. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally, this is just the piece of resistance.
Yes.
This is like
Yeah.
the best you could have done
Yeah.
here. And then even on top of that, you could have played something like this. Because you can clearly see it's helping you make some eye space and limit
Yeah.
blacks. So I like a move like this. But yeah, this move, it felt like it was only doing one thing, which was trying to make this bigger.
Yep.
But this is very small, and it's now putting pressure on black.
Yep.
And I know you know this and is in your head because you talk about this all the time, right? You're all like, I feel like this move isn't putting pressure on black, right? And so it's definitely a floating move here.
Yes.
And we can see the computer. I picked out the moves that the computer was talking about, with A being the best move
Yeah.
possible, right?
Yeah.
All right. So there wasn't too much more to say about this. This was a very like I wouldn't have played here. I would have continued to
Mm,
separate and connect
mm, mm, mm,
yourself.
mhm.
The computer still wanted this move right now. Like this was
Yeah.
still the number one move.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would have continued to make this weak and connect these two groups if you wanted.
Yeah.
But this move, I mean, I see what you're doing with the shape, but it just felt like, you guys were running here, so it felt like the race should have continued here.
Yeah.
But it was small, very small error. Like, I didn't really think too much about it. This was surprising. So this is the move I came up with. The computer really liked this one. But the idea is if you play
Yeah.
here,
I mean, I knew it was bad because it's a, you know, empty
empty
triangle.
triangle. Yeah, right. And what's the rule I always tell you about the empty triangle?
Don't make it.
Well, what's the other part of that rule?
Find a better move.
Well, the rule that I always say is if you feel like you should make an empty triangle, right? Then read out the one jump and see if that's a
Oh,
better
I
shape.
may not have heard this, Michael.
Yeah, so anytime you feel like you want to make an empty triangle, instead of just doing it right away, ask yourself if a one jump would be more appropriate. 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. Like
Oh,
that, this is a much better move than this
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
But in this case, you can see if black plays this, well, now it's a double Atari,
Yep.
right? So this would be the best result for
Yeah,
white.
yeah, yeah.
If black plays this is still great for white. If black plays here, then you're just fine, right? You don't even have to answer. You could play somewhere else. You can play anywhere else, right? Anything you want to do.
Yeah.
Because the even if you Tanuki, this is still here. This double Atari.
Yep.
This is a nice double Atari, right? Like everything's just good because of this one jump here. So this is what I would have done in this case. Just given up the white stone, the black stone, or
Yeah.
white stone, and then
Yeah.
played somewhere else. The computer really liked this one. I can't tell you why, so I guess let's take a look real quick. But it seemed very minuscule, like not like a really important lesson here, but yeah, it wanted black to play here to start a ko. But even then, it doesn't look like the ko works. I'm just gonna fast forward through this. Yeah, so I can't tell you why black wouldn't just play here. I guess
Yep.
black has better things to do. But in a local situation, like I wouldn't want to play one to give black two. So
Yeah.
instead, I would have just played here locally, and now black is paralyzed.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the last thing was the like right now you are winning the game. Did you feel that way?
Yes. I mean, I could count.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so definitely like white was winning. Like you had a good lead. I don't know by how much. It's a good 10-point lead. But once you played this move, then it was over. And this
Yeah.
is it's a very small misstep. But even then, funny enough, I didn't look further until we were talking about it. But if you just played here, this Tetsuji opens up.
Yep.
And so we can see that black just can't do anything like without dying here. So it was a sad
Moment.
Yeah, it was this very sad time that you lost this game because you were clearly winning it.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, let's see. So just some of the important stuff. When they have these exchanges, this 3/4, and then like a stone here,
Yeah.
or here, right? Anywhere where there's like a pincer already.
Yep.
Instead of walking into the pincer, you can attach to the 3/4 like this, and black can't really find a good answer. There's no truly good answer here for black. You'll always be able to make some type of nice group here. So yeah, learning this dancing hane is a very high skill. Something that, you know, like to me, I just really learned this stuff, you know, at my level at 1Q.
Yeah.
So using the dancing hane, very, very beautiful skill here. And very easy, right? Like to me, this looks very simple, isn't it? Doesn't this?
Well, on the outside and the inside, you have to be careful.
For black, or are you?
No, like if he hanes on the outside.
Okay. Well, this one, same thing, right? So like, even if he Ataris, and then protects his cut, like this is a living group now, right? Like you can see that this is more than enough eye space to live.
Right.
So the only thing that you might be scared of is this, right? But we know whenever somebody does these double Ataris, it always leads to a bunch of ladders, right?
Right.
So like if he Ataris this way, here's a weakness and here's a weakness. If he protects this, well then you should be able to kill him. Even if you just play this one. Is it ladder? Like I'm looking at this one too. Yeah. Like this is
no, it isn't because of that. Yeah.
But even if you just give these up, this is still a living group in here.
Yeah.
That might be a better way to play this too. Well, even like I said, even if you have to play like this. This is still definitely a living group here.
Yeah.
This is 2 eyes for sure. And then if he protects this way, so let's say he protects this one, well now this is the ladder.
Right.
So whenever they Atari a dancing hane, like you can always find weaknesses on both sides.
Yep.
If he protects now, here's the ladder. Right. So that's the first part. Definitely a very useful skill. It's something that I learned, as you saw recently, when I made these lectures for the classes, and like they work really well. Second thing is to try not backtrack. This is usually very important. A lot of the times I think I will show it like this. When black touches you, should you answer this way?
No. Yeah.
Right, it's like backtracking, right? It's going away from the fight. Instead, you should hane or extend, but you shouldn't play this way. And a lot of double-digit Q players do that. So we don't want to backtrack. And same with this one, right? So even if we move forward, I think we can easily read that this is a ladder.
Yep.
Same with this, right? Even if it comes to this, it's still a ladder.
Yep.
And if he protects the ladder, well, now there's a weakness on this side, right? Atari and then kill. So not backtracking and sealing in your important. Moving in front of your opponent or sealing is very important.
That's come up before.
These ones, try and experiment with these ones more.
Yeah.
Just because we did a class on it, and it's better to try and practice what you learned. I know it's unknown area, but I mean, yeah, unknown territory, right? But it's good to practice the better moves, I think, because this one we can make very over concentrated. So. Once again, sealing in your opponent's most important thing. Sealing in your opponent, one's most important thing. And then after that, there wasn't too many huge mistakes. The only last thing was, so a little minor mistake. Take your sente moves first.
Yeah, and then
hitting the head of 3 stones, very important.
Yeah.
And then, really, other than that, was this floating move here. we want to try and avoid moves that only do one thing, right? This is only doing one thing. So instead, by putting pressure on black, it's only gonna make your group stronger.
Yeah.
Even if we go like this, because you can see there's starting to become more of a connection. Also, you have so many places.
Options. Yeah.
Yeah, you have so many options. Like even if you just played this, you practically have two eyes. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So this shouldn't be the fear right now.
Yeah.
And that was mainly it, Marty. I mean, this game you played extremely well. You just missed this one thing, and
Yeah.
it kind of ruined it. And that's what happens, right? You can play a whole game really well, and then you make one mistake and you die, and then that's it.
You know the expression, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye.
Yeah, pretty much. But all in all, I thought you played this game really well. Some of the simpler things were very, I think they're easy for you to fix.
Yeah.
And with your game with Terry, a lot of it was just bad direction of play,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was just unfortunate because I know that we try and study that a lot, right? That's like my forte of teaching.
Right. Right.
But it's gonna come in, like, because I don't think I've seen you use the Shusaku often, so I could see why you didn't like use any of its follow-up moves, right? Because I just don't think you use this often, so it was definitely a good lesson to learn.
You know, it's because most people approach not at the three, whatever, not there. They approach.
Yeah, they approach here, right?
That's
Yeah.
why. So, but I knew that the Shusaku move was a response.
Yeah, yep. It's
But
a good one. It's definitely a good one. It's a bit older. And this one is taking more, but it's also feels a bit riskier after white plays here.
Yeah.
There's some very easy follow-ups to make it okay, but I like the Shusaku as well because it just has many options, right? You have this move and you have this move.
Yeah.
They're both good options in my opinion. So the computer heavily favored this one more.
Yeah.
So and yeah, other than that, this move maybe retire this one for now for a little while. um it's fine. But if you do it right, like then
Yeah.
make sure to use it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
the computer was telling you the whole time to play
Right.
this or this.
Right. Right.
And then yeah, this just ended up badly. I mean, we already recapped these heavily, but
Yep. Yep. I
just
think we're good.
yeah. All right, I'll end the recording.